It was supposed to be a simple trip. My best friend Brad and I were heading across the country for a summer road trip, but his ancient Honda Civic broke down halfway through Nevada. With our budget blown on a tow truck, we had to find the cheapest way home. That's how we ended up at a desolate, dimly lit train station at 11:45 p.m., clutching 2 tickets for the Midnight Express. The train itself looked like a relic from the 1980s. The silver exterior was heavily oxidized, and the windows were caked in a thin layer of grime. But a ticket was a ticket. We boarded carriage 3 and found our seats. The cabin was mostly empty, save for a few slumped figures sleeping in the dim, fluorescent lighting. As I sat down, I felt something stiff jammed between the seat cushion and the wall. I pulled it out. It was a laminated piece of cardstock, yellowed with age. The bold, black letters at the top caught my eye. Passenger Safety Guidelines, the Midnight Express. I nudged Brad. Hey, check this out. They still have physical safety cards. Brad leaned over, smirking. Probably tells you what to do if the train derails into a ditch. Let's see. I held the card under the overhead reading light and began to read aloud. Rule 1. Welcome aboard the Midnight Express. To ensure you reach your destination safely, you must strictly follow these guidelines. Failure to comply will result in immediate removal from the train. The train will not stop for your removal. Rule 2. Our official conductors wear navy blue uniforms and caps. They will punch your ticket shortly after departure. If a conductor approaches you wearing a red uniform, do not hand them your ticket. Close your eyes immediately, lean your head back, and pretend to be asleep. Do not open your eyes until you hear the compartment door slide shut. Rule 3. A food trolley will pass through the carriages twice during the night. The attendant pushing the trolley is very polite, but she does not have eyes. Do not look above her collarbone. When purchasing food, only point to what you want. Do not speak to her. Rule 4. We offer a variety of snacks on the trolley. However, we do not serve meat. If you see packages of beef, jerky, hot dogs, or sandwiches containing meat on the trolley, do not buy them. Do not point at them. Rule 5. The train will pass through the Blackwood Tunnel at exactly 2:15 a.m. The transit takes 10 minutes. During this time, the cabin lights will shut off completely. This is normal. When the lights go out, pull the window blind down immediately. Do not look out the window into the darkness of the tunnel. No matter what you hear, waiting on the glass, or who calls your name from outside, do not look. Rule 6. There isn't carriage 4 on this train. Our train consists of carriages 1, 2, 3, and 5. If you walk through the connecting door of carriage 3 and find yourself in a carriage clearly marked with the number 4, do not panic. Sit down in the nearest empty seat, close your eyes, and wait for the lights to flicker 3 times. Once they flicker, get up and walk back the way you came. You will be in carriage 5. Rule 7. If the train stops at a station that is completely shrouded in thick gray fog, do not disembark. Even if the signs say it is your stop. Even if the conductor tells you it is your stop. The Midnight Express does not stop in the fog. Brad burst out laughing, slapping his knee. Man, some edgy teenager must have printed these out and left them here to mess with people. Do not look above her collarbone. What is this? A bad creepypasta? I forced a chuckle, but my stomach felt tight. The laminated card didn't feel like a prank. It felt heavy, official. The edges were worn down from years of being handled. Yeah, I muttered, tossing the card onto the empty seat next to me. Probably just a joke. With a sudden, violent lurch, the Midnight Express began to move. The wheels screeched against the rusted tracks, a sound like tortured metal before settling into a rhythmic clack, 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 clack. Brad put his headphones on and instantly slouched against the window, closing his eyes. I tried to do the same, but my gaze kept drifting back to that laminated card. About 20 minutes into the ride, the compartment door at the front of carriage 3 slid open with a loud thwack. "Tickets, please! Have your tickets ready!" a voice called out. I sat up straight, digging into my pocket for our crumpled stubs. I nudged Brad, who grumbled and pulled off one headphone. Footsteps approached down the aisle, slow, deliberate. I held out the 2 tickets, looking up to hand them to the conductor. The man towering over our seats was tall, his face obscured by the shadow of his peaked cap. But I didn't need to see his face. My eyes were instantly drawn to his uniform. It was a deep, vibrant, unmistakable red. Rule 2. If a conductor approaches you wearing a red uniform, close your eyes immediately, lean your head back, and pretend to be asleep. Panic seized my chest like a vice. My hand, still holding the tickets outstretched, began to tremble. "Tickets, sir," the man in red said. His voice didn't sound human. It sounded like 2 pieces of sandpaper rubbing together. It echoed with a strange, wet resonance. I froze. Brad, oblivious to the rule card he had laughed at earlier, sighed heavily. "Here you go, buddy," Brad said, reaching across me and snatching the tickets from my frozen hand. He held them out to the red conductor. "Brad, no!" I hissed, grabbing his wrist, but it was too late. The conductor's hand, pale, with fingers that were impossibly long and ending in sharp, blackened nails, snapped forward and snatched the tickets from Brad's grasp. "Thank you," the wet, raspy voice said. I slammed my eyes shut, throwing my head back against the seat, praying I was dreaming. I squeezed my eyes so tight that bursts of static color danced in my vision. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. "Hey, what's your problem, man?" Brad muttered next to me, sounding annoyed by my sudden panic. I didn't answer. I just kept my eyes shut, waiting for the sound of the compartment door closing. But the door didn't close. Instead, the wet, raspy voice spoke again, but this time, it wasn't addressing me. "Your ticket is invalid, sir," the conductor said to Brad. "You will need to step off the train." "What? We just bought these an hour ago," Brad argued, his voice rising in frustration. "Let me see that." I heard the rustle of fabric as Brad reached out, and then a sound I will never forget. It was a wet, sickening crunch, like a thick branch being snapped in half, followed instantly by a guttural, choked scream from Brad. Blood, hot and sticky, splattered across the side of my face. My entire body convulsed with terror, but the rule screamed in my mind. Do not open your eyes until you hear the compartment door slide shut. Brad's screams turned into wet, gurgling sobs. I could hear something heavy being dragged across the carpeted floor of the aisle, the sounds of tearing fabric and a wet, tearing noise that made my stomach heave. "Let go!" Brad choked out, his voice already sounding distant, fading towards the front of the carriage. I bit down on my lips so hard I tasted copper. I wanted to open my eyes. I wanted to help my best friend, but I knew, with absolute horrifying certainty, that if I opened my eyes, I would be dragged away with him. The dragging sound continued, accompanied by the heavy, deliberate footsteps of the conductor in red. Finally, the compartment door slid shut with a loud thwack. I waited 10 seconds, then 20. Slowly, I opened my eyes. The carriage was completely empty. The other sleeping passengers were gone, and the seat next to me, where Brad had been sitting just moments ago, was empty. The only proof he had ever been there was a massive smear of dark crimson blood staining the window glass, trailing all the way down the aisle to the closed compartment door. I was alone, and it was only 12:30 a.m. I sat frozen in my seat for what felt like hours, staring at the smear of blood on the window glass. The rhythmic clack-clack of the train wheels over the tracks seemed to mock the silence in the carriage. Brad was gone. My best friend had been butchered and dragged away by a monster in a red uniform because we thought a laminated piece of paper was a joke. I slowly reached down and picked up the rule card from the empty seat. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely read the text, but I forced myself to. My life depended on it. Rule 3. A food trolley will pass through the carriages twice during the night. The attendant pushing the trolley is very polite, but she does not have eyes. Do not look above her collarbone. When purchasing food, only point to what you want. Do not speak to her. Rule 4. We do not serve meat. If you see packages of beef jerky, hot dogs, or sandwiches containing meat on the trolley, do not buy them. Do not point at them. I wiped the blood off my cheek with the sleeve of my jacket, my stomach churning. I couldn't stay in carriage 3. I didn't know if the red conductor would come back. I had to move. I had to find a safe place, maybe even find someone else who was still alive on this nightmare train. I stood up, my legs feeling like lead, and started walking towards the back of the train. Every step felt excruciatingly loud. Just as I reached the middle of the carriage, the compartment door at the far end slid open. Snacks and beverages, snacks and beverages, a sweet melodic voice called out. The rhythmic squeaking of a metal trolley echoed down the aisle. I froze, remembering Rule 3. I immediately dropped my gaze to the floor. I watched as the black, scuffed wheels of the trolley rolled closer, stopping right next to my feet. "Would you like anything to eat, sir?" the sweet voice asked. I kept my eyes locked on the woman's name tag, pinned to a crisp white blouse just below her collarbone. It read, Agnes. I didn't look an inch higher. I knew what, or rather, what wasn't there. I didn't want anything. I just wanted her to leave, but the rule said, when purchasing food, only point to what you want. Do not speak to her. It didn't explicitly say I had to buy something, but I wasn't going to risk finding out what happens if you ignore her. I slowly raised a trembling hand and pointed at the bottom shelf of the trolley. My finger hovered over a row of snacks. There were bags of potato chips, stale-looking pretzels, and sandwiches. Thick, plastic-wrapped sandwiches filled with raw, bleeding meat. The stench of it hit me, the exact same metallic, coppery smell of the blood on my face. We do not serve meat. Do not buy them. Do not point at them. I violently jerked my finger away from the sandwiches and pointed at a generic bag of salted pretzels. Excellent choice, sir, Agnes said sweetly. I saw a pair of pale hands, devoid of any fingerprints, place the bag of pretzels on the edge of the trolley. That will be $2. I dug into my pocket, keeping my head bowed, and pulled out a crumpled $5 bill. I placed it on the trolley next to the pretzels. Agnes didn't give me change. Instead, the pale hand slowly reached out, moving towards my face. Such a handsome young man, she whispered, her voice losing its melodic tone and dropping into a raspy hiss. Why won't you look at me? Are you shy? Her cold, clammy fingers brushed against my chin. I wanted to scream. I wanted to slap her hand away, but I kept my eyes locked on her collarbone, gritting my teeth. Do not speak to her. Do not look above her collarbone. I stood completely still, breathing heavily through my nose. Agnes's fingers lingered on my chin for a few agonizing seconds, tracing the jawline. Pity! She hissed. Her hand retreated. The trolley squeaked as she pushed it past me, continuing her slow march down the aisle. Snacks and beverages, she called out to the empty seats. I grabbed the bag of pretzels and practically ran towards the door at the back of carriage 3. I yanked it open, stepping into the noisy, vibrating vestibule between the cars. The cold night air whipped against my face, bringing temporary relief. I looked up at the digital clock mounted above the door to the next carriage. It read, 2:08 a.m. Rule 5. The train will pass through the Blackwood Tunnel at exactly 2:15 a.m. The transit takes 10 minutes. During this time, the cabin lights will shut off completely. When the lights go out, pull the window blind down immediately. Do not look out the window. I had 1 minute. I threw open the door to the next carriage and sprinted down the aisle. I didn't even look to see what number the carriage was. I just dove into the nearest window seat. At exactly 2:15 a.m., the rhythmic clacking of the wheels deepened as the train plunged into the Blackwood Tunnel. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, buzzed loudly, and died. The carriage was plunged into absolute pitch-black darkness. My heart hammered against my ribs as I blindly reached up and yanked the heavy plastic window blind down, snapping it shut just before the last sliver of ambient light faded. Total silence enveloped the train. The sound of the wheels, the wind, everything was muted. I pressed my back against the seat, clutching the rule card like a shield. I had to survive 10 minutes in this darkness. For the first 5 minutes, nothing happened, just the oppressive, heavy silence. Then I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the window right next to me. The window I had just pulled the blind down over. Tap, tap, tap. It sounded like fingernails tapping against the glass from the outside, but we were moving at 70 miles an hour through a tunnel. Nothing could be outside. "Hey!" a voice whispered from the other side of the glass. I froze. The voice was muffled by the thick pain, but it was unmistakable. It was Brad. "Hey man, it's really cold out here," Brad's voice whined, sounding exactly like he did when we were kids and he got locked out of his house in the winter. "Can you open the window? Just a crack?" Tears immediately flooded my eyes. "Brad, I'm sorry I took the tickets," the voice sobbed, growing louder, more frantic. "He hurt me so bad. Please, man, please, just pull up the blind so I can see you. I just want to see you." My hand instinctively twitched towards the bottom of the window blind. No matter what you hear, tapping on the glass, or who calls your name from outside, do not look. "It's not him," I whispered to myself, rocking back and forth in the dark. "It's not him!" Bang! Something massive slammed against the outside of the window, rattling the entire frame. The blind shook violently. "Open the blind!" A chorus of voices screamed from the other side. It wasn't just Brad anymore. It was a dozen voices, male, female, young, and old, all shrieking in agonizing unison. "Look at us! Look at us!" The tapping turned into frantic, desperate pounding. The glass cracked, a spiderweb fracture echoing through the dark cabin. I shoved my fingers into my ears, burying my face between my knees, screaming at the top of my lungs to drown out the horrifying chorus of the damned outside the window. The glass cracked again. I could feel the cold air seeping in. The blind was buckling under the pressure. "Look at us!" Just as the glass gave way with a sickening shatter, the train burst out of the tunnel. The fluorescent lights flickered back on, blindingly bright. I uncurled from my fetal position, gasping for air. I looked at the window next to me. The glass was perfectly intact. The blind was still pulled down securely. There was no crack, no cold air, and no voices. I checked my watch. 2:25 a.m. I had survived the Blackwood Tunnel. I slowly reached up and pushed the window blind open. The train was speeding through a dense, foggy forest. The moonlight cast long, eerie shadows through the trees. I let out a long, shaky breath, leaning my head against the cool glass. I had made it. I just had to wait for the sun to rise, or for the train to reach its final destination. I turned away from the window, intending to find a comfortable position to rest. That's when I finally looked up and read the large metallic number bolted above the compartment door at the front of the aisle. Carriage 4. My heart plummeted into my stomach. I scrambled backward, tripping over my own feet, and fell into the aisle of the carriage. I stared up at the large metallic 4 bolted above the compartment door. The number seemed to mock me. Rule 6. There is no carriage 4 on this train. If you walk through the connecting door of carriage 3 and find yourself in a carriage clearly marked with a number 4, do not panic. Sit down in the nearest empty seat, close your eyes, and wait for the lights to flicker 3 times. I had run blindly out of carriage 3 to escape Agnes and the meat trolley, straight into a carriage that wasn't supposed to exist. The air in carriage 4 was freezing cold. It smelled like dust and ozone, completely devoid of any human presence. The seats weren't the standard blue fabric of the other carriages. They were covered in cracked, yellowing vinyl. The entire carriage felt like it had been rotting on a forgotten siding for 50 years. "Don't panic," I muttered to myself, though my voice trembled so badly I could barely form the words. I picked myself up off the floor and practically threw myself into the nearest vinyl seat. It groaned loudly under my weight. Sit down, close your eyes, and wait for the lights to flicker 3 times. Once they flicker, get up and walk back the way you came. I squeezed my eyes shut. I folded my hands in my lap and waited. The silence in carriage 4 was absolute. There was no clack-clack of the wheels, no hum from the engine. It was as if the train had completely detached from reality and was floating in a void of nothingness. Minutes ticked by in the dark. My mind raced with images of Brad, of the faceless Agnes, of the screaming voices outside the window. I just wanted it to end. Suddenly, the cold air vanished, replaced by a blast of searing, suffocating heat. The heavy scent of burning hair and charred meat filled the carriage. Bizit! Even through my closed eyelids, I saw the bright flash of the fluorescent lights above me. That was one. The heat intensified. I could hear the vinyl seat beneath me beginning to crackle and warp. Something heavy dropped onto the seat next to me with a wet, squelching sound. I felt a hot, rancid breath brush against my cheek. Bzzzt! 2. Open your eyes! A deep, guttural voice purred directly into my ear. It didn't sound like Brad or Agnes. It sounded ancient, dripping with malice. Just take a peek. I want to see what you look like when you realize what you've done. A single, razor-sharp claw lightly dragged across my throat, just barely breaking the skin. A warm trickle of blood rolled down my neck. I bit my tongue until I tasted copper, keeping my eyes clamped shut with every ounce of willpower I possessed. I wouldn't look. I couldn't look. Busy that. 3. The searing heat vanished instantly. The smell of burning meat was gone. The heavy, oppressive presence next to me disappeared, leaving only the cold, dusty air of the vinyl seat. I didn't waste a second. I threw my eyes open, leaped out of the seat, and bolted towards the door at the back of the carriage, the exact way I had come in. I didn't look back. I grabbed the cold metal handle of the compartment door, yanked it open, and threw myself through the threshold. I stumbled into the next carriage and collapsed against the doorframe, gasping for breath. I looked up. The seats were blue fabric. The lighting was normal. I looked at the metallic number above the door behind me. Carriage 5. I let out a hysterical sob, sliding down the doorframe until I was sitting on the floor. I had done it. I had followed the rule, and I had escaped carriage 4. I pulled my knees to my chest and buried my face in my arms. I sat there in the aisle of carriage 5, weeping silently for Brad, for the trauma, for the sheer exhaustion of trying to survive this impossible nightmare. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually, the rhythm of the train changed. The loud clack-clack slowed down to a rhythmic rumble. The brakes squealed, sending a harsh metallic whine through the cabin. The Midnight Express was decelerating. I scrambled to my feet and looked out the window. The train was pulling into a station. The platform was bathed in the warm yellow glow of old-fashioned street lamps. There was a small, quaint ticket office and a sign that read, "Destination Terminal." But the station was completely swallowed by a thick, swirling gray fog. It hung in the air like pea soup, obscuring the buildings beyond the platform. The train hissed to a complete stop. The compartment door at the front of Carriage 5 slid open. "Terminal station! All passengers must disembark!" a crisp, professional voice announced. I whipped my head around. A conductor was standing at the front of the aisle. He was wearing a pristine, navy blue uniform. He had a friendly, human face and a warm smile. "End of the line, sir," the blue conductor said, gesturing towards the exit doors of the carriage, which had just hissed open, letting the gray fog spill into the cabin. "You made it! You can step off the train now!" Relief washed over me in a tidal wave. A blue uniform. The rules said blue was official. Blue was safe. The nightmare was finally over. I took a step towards the open door. The cool, damp fog drifted over my shoes. I could see the yellow street lamps on the platform, promising safety, civilization, and an end to the madness. I took another step, but as I raised my foot to step across the threshold and onto the platform, I felt the heavy weight of the laminated card in my jacket pocket. I stopped dead in my tracks. I pulled the card out and stared at the final line of text. Rule 7. If the train stops at a station that is completely shrouded in thick gray fog, do not disembark, even if the signs say it is your stop, even if the conductor tells you it is your stop. The Midnight Express does not stop in the fog. I looked at the blue conductor. His warm smile hadn't wavered, but his eyes were locked onto my feet, burning with an intense, desperate anticipation. "Is there a problem, sir?" the conductor asked, his voice dripping with an almost sickly sweetness. "The train will be departing shortly. You really must step off now." I looked out at the thick gray fog swirling on the platform. It wasn't just fog. Now that I looked closer, I could see shapes moving within it. Tall, lanky silhouettes pacing back and forth, waiting. I slowly pulled my foot back inside the carriage. "No," I whispered, my voice barely audible. The conductor's smile froze. "Sir, I insist. This is the final stop." "No," I said louder, taking a step back from the open door. "The Midnight Express does not stop in the fog." The conductor's face didn't just drop, it melted. The friendly, human features sloughed off like wet clay, revealing a featureless, pale expanse of skin beneath the navy blue cap. The uniform remained perfectly pristine, but the creature wearing it let out a shriek of absolute fury that shattered the remaining windows in the carriage. The exit doors slammed shut with a violent bang, cutting off the gray fog. The creature in the blue uniform didn't attack me. It simply stood there, its faceless head tilted in a silent, seething rage as the train's engine roared to life. With a violent lurch, the Midnight Express began to accelerate. The gray fog outside the windows became a blur as the train sped back into the pitch-black night, leaving the station behind. I collapsed into the nearest seat, staring blankly at the laminated card in my hands. I had survived. I had followed every rule. I had beaten the red conductor, the eyeless trolley lady, the tunnel, Carriage 4, and the imposter in blue. But as the train hurtled forward into the endless darkness, the rhythmic clack-clack echoing endlessly, a horrifying realization settled over me. I flipped the laminated card over, hoping to find a set of instructions on how to actually get off the train, hoping to find an ending. The back of the card was completely blank. There were no more rules. There was no final destination. The Midnight Express doesn't stop. It just keeps going, and I am going to be on it forever.